Hello, everybody. I'm Skip Elsheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show, where we watch old 16mm films, and that was a personal travelogue, not my personal travelogue, but somebody else's. Basically, they're home movies, and from the 1960s, and some beautiful stuff there. Very, very pretty. So I showed a film yesterday, Harv and Marv, and it brought some people were like, I don't like Harv and Marv, and some people were like upset about it. And I think that it basically invoked another thing, which we just scanned. So enjoy.
Uh-oh. I wonder.
What do you wonder, Wondercat?
I wonder, why don't I fall up?
Why don't you fall up? Well, if you're curious enough, you can find out. Just to get started, let's agree on which way is up.
That's easy. That way is up. That bird is flying up. And that plane, it's going up too.
So up is...
That way. You know, away from the ground.
Or you could say, away from the earth, right?
Right.
And down. Which way is that?
Down. That's toward the ground. Toward the earth, right?
Right. So when you say that something falls, or moves up or down, you're really describing the direction it's moving.
That's right. Toward or away from the earth. But I still don't know why I fall down instead of up.
Well, look around. Look at the things that move and see if you find some clues as to why those things move in one direction instead of in the opposite direction.
Well, I'm looking at things that are moving, but I haven't found any clues yet. Hey, look at that ball. It isn't moving at all.
Well, keep on looking and maybe you'll find out why.
Oh, I see why the ball isn't moving. It's in the middle of a rope that both sides are pulling on in a tug of war. It looks like one side is pulling just as hard as the other side is.
What do you think would have to happen for the ball to move?
One side would have to start pulling harder. And I think that's what's going to happen now.
But when the ball moves, which way will it move?
Toward the side that's pulling harder.
Yes, things start to move when they are pulled or pushed in one direction harder than in another.
So I guess I understand the reason I fall down and don't fall up. There must be something pulling me down toward the ground. And it must be something that pulls me down harder than anything that pulls or pushes me up.
Very good.
But I wonder...
What do you wonder, Wondercat?
I wonder, what is it that's pulling me down? I know what was pulling on the ball in the tug of war. When one team pulled harder than the other team did, the ball moved. It moved in the direction of the harder pull. But what pulls things that makes them fall down?
Well, remember, things fall toward the Earth.
Does that mean that the Earth pulls things down?
That's right. And we give a name to the pull of the Earth. We call it gravity.
Gravity. I'll try to remember that word. But I wonder, I could see the hands of the people pulling on the rope and moving the ball, but I don't think I've ever seen the Earth pulling on anything.
That's because the Earth can pull on things without touching them. You can't see gravity, but you can see things move because gravity pulls them toward the Earth. Gravity is pulling you too, right now.
But I'm not falling. Why?
Remember why the ball didn't move at first in the tug of war?
Well, both sides were pulling on the rope, but one pull wasn't stronger than the other. Say, since I know that gravity is pulling me down, but I'm not moving, something else must be pulling me up just as hard, right?
Yes, but not pulling, pushing up on you. In order for the branch to hold you up, it has to push you up, just as hard as gravity is pulling you down. If it didn't,
I'd fall down. I see what you mean. The small branches on a tree aren't very strong. That bird should be careful.
well, gravity doesn't pull down as hard on that bird as it pulls down on you.
It doesn't? How hard does it pull down on us?
Well, you can find out. With that scale, can you make the pointer move?
Sure. I just have to pull down on it like this. See? And the harder I pull, the farther the pointer moves.
Stop pulling. Now, get on the scale. What's happening?
Well, now my whole body is pulling the scale down. Or is it gravity that's pulling me down?
That's what it is. Good thinking. And see where the pointer is?
At 6 pounds. Hey, that's what I weigh. Well, sure, this is a scale. But does that mean my weight tells me how hard gravity is pulling me down towards the Earth?
Yes, that's right. We say that gravity is pulling you down with a force of 6 pounds. Now, let's weigh the bird.
Okay. Wow, that little bird doesn't even weigh 1 pound. That means that gravity is pulling down on the bird a lot less than it is on me. I mean, with a lot less force, just like you said. Is that why a bird can go up and I can't? Because gravity pulls down on me more than it pulls down on the bird?
Well, no. You see, all that matters is whether the push up on a bird is stronger than the pull down. When a bird's wings give it a strong enough push up, it can fly. The force of the wings pushing a bird up is greater than the force of gravity pulling it down. An airplane can go up for the same reason. Its wings and engine give it a push up that is greater than the force of gravity pulling it down. The push up always has to be more than the pull down for something to go up into the air.
So that's how I make a ball go up. Every time I throw it up, I'm giving it a push up that's stronger than the pull down gravity is giving it. The ball just goes up a way, and then it comes back down again. The harder I throw it, the higher up it goes. But it always slows down as it goes up. Then it stops and starts coming down again. Earth's gravity has pulled the ball back to Earth. But I wonder, why don't things we send into space fall back to Earth?
That's because the burning rocket fuel keeps pushing the rocket upwards. It keeps going up and up until it's in space and keeps on traveling away from the Earth.
Does the Earth's gravity still pull on things when they're in space?
Yes, but as a space vehicle keeps going farther and farther away from Earth, Earth's gravity pulls less and less on it. If a space vehicle gets close enough to something big in space, like the moon, then the moon's gravity will pull on it. When the moon's gravity pulls harder on it than the Earth's gravity does, then down becomes...
The direction toward the moon. Is that right?
That's right. And if you landed on the moon, you'd find that its gravity doesn't pull on you as hard as Earth's gravity does.
So I'd weigh less there.
That's right.
And does that mean I could jump higher?
That's right.
And I wouldn't come down so fast? Or so hard?
That's right.
That would be nice, since now I understand why I can never fall up, even on the moon.
I love the fact that you, as soon as you heard the theme music, you were like, no! It delights me how much you hate this. And I agree. I think that Wondercat's voice is really cloying and just drives me nuts. I think it's the same with Marvin Hart. The affected voices that they have. Gee, Marv. Drives me nuts. Okay, so behind me I have a film scanner set up. We have a film. Let's learn about Switzerland today, which means that it was potentially 40 or 50 years ago. Enjoy. It's a tension issue. We're gonna watch this film about alcohol choices, and I don't think it's specifically related to which alcohols you choose, but the fact that you're choosing alcohol in general. Let's find out.
Okay, that's about right. To begin with, you should know...
Hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Hey, what are you doing? I have to give a demonstration.
Of how to drink. Yeah, I heard. But why tell people how to drink? Doesn't that imply that they should?
Well, I don't mean to. It's just that, well, drinking is pretty much a part of our way of life. All you have to do is look around.
Okay, so Americans drink. But even those who do sometimes have mixed feelings about the subject.
And that's why it's so difficult to decide whether or not to drink. Now look, can we agree on one point? Whatever the decision, it should be made by the individual, influenced only by his or her personal feelings and beliefs.
Agreed.
We're in business. Did you want something else?
Oh, no, nothing. Nothing else.
Aren't you leaving?
Oh, no. Go right ahead. Don't mind me.
To begin with, alcohol
About that sign.
What sign?
That how to drink thing. I mean, what's the point?
Look, it's simple. Alcohol is strong stuff. Technically speaking, it's a drug, a depressant that affects the behavior of the drinker. So if you're gonna drink, you darn well better know how to handle it. Better?
Better.
Many thanks. And now, if you approve, I'm going to offer some introductory information about alcoholic beverages. Alcoholic beverages fall into three broad categories: beer, wine, and what is referred to as hard liquor. Beer and wine usually contain less alcohol than the hard liquors, but they still can be potent. They still can make you drunk. Hard liquors come in a variety of names: Scotch, rye, brandy, gin, vodka, bourbon, to name the most common. Their strength is determined by alcoholic content alone, and not by appearance or even taste. Some, for example, are colorless and innocent looking, but what looks like plain water may be vodka or gin. When served mixed, they may look pretty and taste as sweet and innocent, but the alcoholic content is always there. Interesting?
It's a good start. But you need more information on the effect of alcohol on the drinker.
Oh, that's not so simple.
Oh, sounds simple enough.
I mean, only theoretically. I mean, it's true that basically the effect is determined by how much alcohol is consumed in a given amount of time. But there are other complications. For example, drinking on an empty stomach allows the alcohol to get into the bloodstream more quickly, so the effect will be felt more quickly. Body weight is another complicating factor. A few ounces of alcohol may have much less effect when absorbed into a large body than into a small one. Alcohol can also hit you harder if you're ill or tired or run down.
Okay, so you have size, general physical condition, whether or not your stomach is full. Now, those are all simple enough to consider, aren't they?
Yes, but it's still not so simple. Sometimes individual reactions break all the logical rules.
So how do you determine your own limits?
By drinking slowly enough to begin noticing the effects of the alcohol before you've had too much. For example, consider 3 shots of hard liquor. Now, each glass is pretty small, so it's no big deal to down them one after the other in a short time. But that means that they're being consumed before their effects are felt. Then suddenly, whammo, you may be drunk or even sick. But suppose we take the same amount of alcohol and mix it with water, or a soft drink, or fruit juice. That gives you a better chance to consume it slowly, a sip at a time, in no rush at all. It isn't hard to take a half an hour or even more to empty just a first glass. By the time you get to the second drink, you're already feeling the effect of the first, but you're still in control. You're capable of making the decision to go no farther if that's what you want. And if there is a second drink, or a third one, you're in control all the way if you take it slow. See what I mean? You've handled drinking.
Well, that's okay as far as it goes. But what if everybody else is still drinking and they pressure you to keep up with them?
You always have a choice. You can always say no.
Well, sometimes you can't. You could kill your social life or lose friendships.
A social life and friends that demand heavy drinking may not be the best kind to have.
Actually, I agree with you. I'm just feeding a straight line so you can make your point.
Well, anyway, as we agreed earlier, every individual must make his or her own decision about drinking. You might say there's a choice of 3 categories. Category 1, the non-drinkers who avoid anything alcoholic. Category 2, those who use alcohol, but with intelligence and control. Above all, they know when to stop. Category 3 would be the abuser of alcohol. The heavy drinker, the uncontrolled drinker, the alcoholic.
You mean the poor soul who winds up on Skid Row?
Not necessarily. Alcoholics come in all sizes and shapes, in all walks of life. They drink because they can't help themselves. For escape, because they can't face life. They don't always end up in the gutter or jail or a mental ward, but very few manage to avoid the accidents, the broken careers, the ruined marriages and families that are the alcoholic's standard payoff.
Don't want to see us anymore because we don't do much, and the house isn't really kept very well, and I thought, you know, maybe you'd stop drinking a little bit.
Sounds sort of grim. Hopeless.
Hopeless? No, not hopeless. Not if the alcoholic gets help.
From where?
Lots of places. There are many organizations around that'll help, and some just for young people with drinking problems.
Well, how do you find them?
Phone book. Ask a doctor. Ask a teacher. Ask a parent. Ask an uncle. Just ask. Help's around if you ask for it.
Okay, how many times has it been really bad this week? Huh? No, come on now. It's been bad this week. I know it's been bad. You've got to admit it's been bad to yourself before you know that you're actually going to solve the problem, right? Huh? Yeah. Because every time you ignore that time, every time you just pass over that time when you really want that drink, you're not facing the problem that particular time, and it's a step-by-step process. You've got to know it each time, look it square in the eye, and decide, I'm not going to have a drink right now. Don't worry about the next year or the next month. Look to it each moment you want that drink. What do you think about that? Do you look at it each time when you want that drink? Can you actually say no to that drink, or do you have dreams? What about it? Huh?
You almost finished? Time's running out.
Just about. I only wanted to throw in 3 more points. Don't think that coffee can sober you up if you've put away too much alcohol. It may help you keep awake, but that's all. Never, repeat, never mix alcohol and medicines or drugs of any kind. That's a deadly combination. And know your own limits. Know when to stop. And that's it. Well,
Well, what?
Well, what'd you think? How'd you like the presentation?
My opinion isn't important.
Well, then, whose is?
Theirs.
Run. It's driving me nuts. All right, here's Switzerland today.
Switzerland is a small mountainous country locked in the heart of Europe. It's barely 230 miles wide and less than 130 miles from north to south. It has no coastline and almost no natural resources. Yet this tiny, rugged country enjoys one of the highest living standards in the world and competes successfully with countries much larger and wealthier in resources than itself. What's the secret behind Switzerland's success? And what's it like in Switzerland today? Politically, Switzerland is a federation of 25 sovereign states called cantons. Each canton has its own government, its own capital, and largely decides its own affairs. Bern is the capital of the country and the seat of the federal government. The Swiss people are a mixture of many different origins and speak 3 main languages. In the blue area to the west, it's French. In the black, it's German, or the Swiss equivalent they call Schweizerdeutsch. In the red areas to the south, it's Italian. An ancient language called Romansh, derived from Latin, is still spoken in the yellow areas. Physically, Switzerland is a country of towering mountains and picture postcard villages. Each year, tourists spend over $1 billion enjoying its great natural beauty. But Switzerland is also one of the most highly industrialized countries in the world. She learned long ago that to survive in the modern world, she had to industrialize. But she had almost no natural resources, no iron ore, no coal, no oil. Switzerland solved this problem by concentrating production on goods that needed a minimum of raw materials, but a maximum of human skills. Skills that call for patience, ingenuity, a love of precision and minute detail. Over the centuries, they've developed their special skills so well that today the Swiss worker is his country's most important natural resource. 90% of the cost of a Swiss watch is human labor. The Swiss believe that to work is good, and to work hard is even better. Whether he drives one of Switzerland's trans-European express trains, pilots a Swiss aircraft, or assembles delicate components for space exploration, the Swiss worker does his job with a dedication seldom matched in other countries. To keep her industries running, Switzerland must import almost all her raw materials. Much enters the country through the inland port of Basel, Switzerland's northern border city on the River Rhine. Basel is over 550 miles from the open sea, yet it's one of Europe's busiest ports. Here, the deep barges unload textile fibers for the clothing industry, chemical raw materials and drugs for the pharmaceutical trade, aluminum for watches, scrap iron to be turned into high-grade steel for machinery and construction, and fuel for homes, industry, automobiles, and aircraft. Other imports enter the country on a railroad system that has more track per square mile than any other country in the world. To pay for her imports, Switzerland must export about 1/3 of her total production. The empty barges are loaded up again with textiles, watches, dyes, chemicals, machinery and electrical equipment, cheeses and chocolates. Products of the very special skills that bring today's Swiss worker one of the world's highest living standards. But industrialization brings its own special problems. Years ago, the strength of the Swiss economy was the mountain farmer. Grain from his fields, beef and dairy products from his cattle helped feed the towns and cities. Today, the mountain farmer has almost disappeared, and most Swiss farming takes place on the relatively flat land between the Jura Mountains and the Alps. Here, mechanization is possible, and with it, higher and better crop yields per acre. Yet even with modern farming methods, Switzerland must still import over 70% of all foodstuffs she needs. And as more and more Swiss leave the land for the easier life of the cities, it's mostly foreign labor that brings in today's harvests. Labor from Italy, Greece, Yugoslavia, and as far away as Spain. Today, 1/5 of the entire Swiss labor force comes from abroad. As with industry, Swiss farming has its special problems too. One of these is the increasing use of pesticides. Pesticides increase crop yields by keeping crop diseases under control and destroying bugs and insects that feed on fruits and vegetables. But pesticides have their dangers too. They can wash off the land into rivers and lakes, killing fish and river life, endangering drinking water supplies, and upsetting the delicate balance of nature. They can be swallowed by animals grazing on contaminated grass and passed on to the Swiss consumer in meat and other products. Today, stricter controls on the use of pesticides and industrial pollutants help protect the health of the Swiss people and keep their rivers and famous lakes fresh and clean. High above the farmlands lies Switzerland's only major natural resource, an unlimited supply of snow. Water from these melting snowfields rushes down the steep mountainsides to be trapped behind giant dams. Here, turbines and generators use its force to produce electric power for towns, cities, and industry. At the southwestern tip of Switzerland is the ancient city of Geneva. For centuries, men of many different races and beliefs found refuge in Geneva from persecution. John Calvin, the reformist preacher, lived and taught in Geneva. His teachings and ideas crossed the Atlantic with the Pilgrim Fathers. They helped frame the Mayflower Compact and later the American Constitution. Today, Geneva provides a quiet meeting place for men of many nations to talk over the problems of the world. The League of Nations was founded in Geneva, and its successor, the United Nations, has its European headquarters here, as do many other international organizations. But the future of any nation depends on its children. What's it like being young in Switzerland today? As in many other countries, education is compulsory. But a child growing up here, in the heart of Europe, in a country of mixed races and origins, has opportunities that other children don't have. In school, he soon learns that different sorts of people think and act in different sorts of ways. And maybe this early mixing is all to the good, for Switzerland is a country almost entirely free of strife and social unrest. Out of school, it's a healthy, active life. When winter comes, it's time for fun on some of the world's finest ski slopes. But even in Switzerland, it takes time to become an expert. School days over, a young Swiss has the choice of several fine universities. But whether he goes to one or not, every physically fit Swiss male must do his military service. Switzerland has been strictly neutral for over 200 years, but its citizens are highly trained soldiers, ready for immediate combat. Per head of population, Switzerland is one of the most heavily armed nations in the world. After university, some Swiss graduates work in research laboratories. Industrial techniques change constantly, and only through research and development can Swiss industry compete successfully with the rest of the world. In this factory, 12 highly complex machines manufacture turbine blades for supersonic aircraft. A year ago, the factory employed 48 workers and 2 foremen. Today, one Swiss-designed computer and a skilled operator do the same volume of work in less time and with no errors. The operator sets up the overall work pattern, and pre-punched tapes feed coded instructions to each machine. Increased automation is helping to solve Switzerland's chronic labor shortage problem. With many tasks now done quicker and more efficiently by machines, workers can be trained for more highly specialized jobs. And higher skills mean higher wages. So automation benefits both Swiss industry and its workers. John Calvin taught the Swiss that wealth in this world meant salvation in the next. So it's no accident that Switzerland has become one of the world's great banking nations. Zurich is the major banking city, and many foreign nationals and governments have their deposits here. Swiss money finances projects in many parts of the world. And at home, Swiss banks help finance the building of factories, offices, and homes. Construction needed to keep pace with a population that has almost doubled in the last 100 years. In less than a century, Switzerland has changed from a basically agricultural economy to a highly industrialized nation. The mountain farmer, once the economic strength of Switzerland, has almost disappeared. New needs, new methods of cultivation have replaced him. The old country lanes have given way to modern motor roads, linking city to city and factory to factory. And today, the once quiet cities are alive with the bustle of industry and commerce. For a tiny mountainous country locked in the heart of Europe, with no coastline and few natural resources, Switzerland has done remarkably well for itself. By concentrating on its one major resource, its people, by developing their very special talents, Switzerland today enjoys one of the highest living standards in the world. It has a stable democratic government, and its people, of mixed origins and races, manage very well to live and work and play peacefully, side by side. Maybe there's a lesson to be learned for today's troubled world from the little country of Switzerland.
Our good pal, Peter Thomas. Some of you might know him from that Paul Hardcastle song, 19, where he's talking about Vietnam soldiers, the average age being 19. Then some of you might know him from Cold Case Files. I had a girlfriend who listened to him to fall asleep. My sister also did the same thing. They found his voice to be very soothing, regardless of the fact that he's talking about blood spatters and various types of gunpowder residue, etc., etc. All right, got one more film to watch. Let's see. Let's learn about pond animals. Are you ready? Pond animals. Enjoy.
We're going to look at some of the animals found in an ordinary pond. It's surprising what you can see if you walk quietly up to the water's edge and just watch. In the spring and summer, newts can often be seen swimming about or coming to the surface to take in air. Sticklebacks may be hard to find because their camouflage makes these fish difficult to see when they are not moving. The whirligig beetle is an interesting animal to watch as it spins around and around. However, a great many pond animals are hidden in the weeds or in the mud. You need a strong net to catch them. A quick movement helps keep the mouth of the net from becoming clogged with weeds. When the water has drained away, we can see what has been caught. Here is a large water boatman, an insect about 1.5 centimeters in length. It's best to transfer the animals we want to study into wide-mouthed jars half filled with pond water. Small, delicate animals, which might otherwise be eaten, can be put into smaller bottles. It's important not to put too many specimens in each jar, or some of the gill-breathing animals will die. Back in the laboratory, the bottles and jars can be emptied into white dishes. This is a good way to observe animals which might otherwise be hard to see. But it is important to keep carnivorous species completely isolated. Such an animal is the water boatman, seen here cleaning its powerful swimming legs. The small planarian worms are also carnivorous. What can happen when carnivorous animals are not isolated is this. A damselfly nymph is firmly in the grip of a water scorpion. Pond snails, though, feed on plant material. These, together with other animals, can also be studied in an aquarium. The great pond snail grows up to 5 centimeters in length and can often be seen browsing on the weeds. It takes air directly into its mantle cavity, the inner wall of which is well supplied with blood vessels and acts as a kind of lung. See how it opens its breathing aperture when it comes up to the surface. This is the great ram's horn snail, a large species of ram's horn. Like the great pond snail, they may harbor many parasitic worms. Some of these can be seen at the base of the near tentacle and on the side of the head. Water fleas are fascinating animals to watch, and they can be found in still water where there are single-cell plants for food. This is the brown hydra. It captures small animals like water fleas with its tentacles, which have many stinging cells. Hydra is most easily found if floating pondweed is collected and allowed to settle in dishes. When undisturbed, it will extend to its maximum size. The lesser water boatman feeds on the bottom of the pond by sucking up pieces of debris. But to renew its supply of air, it has to swim to the surface. Here, the carnivorous great water boatman is devouring a pond skater. The damselfly nymph breathes by means of the 3 gills protruding from the tip of the abdomen. It feeds on small animals by shooting out a hooked structure called a mask from under its chin. Watch how it catches a water flea. The action is very quick. Watch again. Back at the pond, the adult damselflies are hatching out and drying their wings in the sunshine. But in the water, there are enormous numbers of microscopic organisms that we have not yet seen. To catch them, we use a special muslin net with a jar attached to the base. As the net is moved gently through the water and drained, these organisms are concentrated in the jar below. The contents can then be easily collected. It's also a good idea to collect a little of the plant debris from the bottom of the pond, because many animals live there. To see what we have caught, let's go back to the laboratory. First, let's examine a drop of water from the top of the jar. We need a pipette to extract the sample, a microscope slide, and a cover glass. Then we can look through the microscope using the low-power objective lens first. These are single-celled organisms called flagellates. Some are animal-like, some plant-like. What will they look like under high power? They swim by lashing a long hair-like structure called a flagellum. The color of these flagellates is caused by chlorophyll, which is present in all green plants. This flagellate is composed of a plate of 16 unicellular units, each bearing a pair of flagella. A sample from the debris reveals different species, such as this nematode worm. Decomposing debris also attracts many unicellular animals called protozoa. One of the largest of these is Spirostomum, which may reach a length of 2 millimeters. Another is Stentor. It feeds by drawing a current of water into its gullet. You can see the hair-like cilia on Stentor, which produce the current. Inside are several flagellates, which it has recently caught. These are gradually digested in food vacuoles. Another animal which may be found in the debris is amoeba. This particular species is very small, but you can see how it moves by producing false feet, or pseudopodia. Closely related to amoeba is this animal called Deflugia. The pseudopodia protrude from a thin shell which becomes covered with sand grains and other particles. Here is a close view of part of the shell. Small bristleworms are also commonly found among the debris. They are related to the earthworms and feed on decaying plant matter. Because they are so transparent, it is relatively easy to observe the contractions of the intestine and to see the way in which blood is circulated through the body. Here are many small protozoa moving up and down several filaments of a plant, a green alga. The bell animal, or Vorticella, is always found attached to the stems or leaves of water plants. Here is one in the process of division. Like Stentor, Vorticella creates a feeding current with its cilia, drawing particles toward itself. The last pond animal we will look at is this brightly colored mite related to the spiders. Although we have only been able to see a few of the animals found in ponds, there are many opportunities for further study. Next time you go to a pond, take a net with you and see what you can find out for yourself.
Anyways. Obviously, I'm distracted today. But I got lulled into this false sense of security with talking about the pond animals. And then I went and was working on something. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute. I need to go back and do the show. I'm sorry. Maybe I need more caffeine. Maybe that's the deal. Maybe I don't have enough coffee. So it's so gray and rainy that maybe I need a little bit, a scooch more coffee. And you can provide us coffee by donating via the Super Thanks option in the chat on YouTube. Thank you, Jeremy, for doing that. You can also go to ko-fi.com/avgeeks. You can also go to patreon.com/avgeeks. Those are other ways to donate to the cause. Also, if you are in the Triangle area and 7 o'clock, you don't have anything going on, you want to see me show films live, Alamo Drafthouse is hosting me for 1970s Creep Machine, where we watch films about creeps from the 1970s. Come on down. I can't remember how much the tickets are, but there are some seats that opened up and would love to see you in person. Maybe I will give you a sticker. So that is tonight, 7 o'clock, Tuesday, 7 o'clock, blah, blah, blah. And we'll be there with a projector, and it's in a theater. You have to buy tickets. This is different than when we've done it in the lobby. So hopefully we'll see you. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Maybe it won't be so gross tomorrow. I don't know. But everybody take care, and we'll see you soon.